In this episode of Teach Me Something, Darcy tries to teach Long about the origins of title insurance. Darcy is the owner and managing broker at the Hardy Group, brokered by eXp. Hardy Group represents the region's finest properties with exceptional skill using the most innovative technologies currently available. She's also a mom, wife, and an amazing friend. Will Long learn something new from Darcy? We will find out on this episode of... Welcome to Teach Me Something, where our experts have 2 minutes to teach something new. I'm your host, Jesse Zgorski. Meet Long Dome. Long knows a lot about everything, but specifically real estate and leadership. Long has sold thousands of houses, but there's one thing you should know about him. Every day, he is committed to learning something new. And if he doesn't learn something new, he has to read a book for at least 20 minutes. Long loves to learn, but he hates reading books. Well, that's not totally true, but you get the idea. And Long has a short attention span, because his brain is always thinking, which is why our contestants only have 2 minutes. Let's see if Long can learn something new on Teach Me Something.
Are you ready to rock for 2 minutes?
I'll give it a whirl.
All right, cool. Let me set a timer here for 2 minutes, and I'll show you on the screen when it hit 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
Perfect.
I'm excited. I don't even know what you're going to teach, but this is going to be fun. All right, we got 2 minutes. Let's go. Ready to roll.
Okay, so I'm going to teach today about a little bit about the beginning of title insurance. So commonly, people talk about title insurance starting in the 1880s with a court case where some seller did not disclose liens against the property. However, there's kind of a backstory to that. As I understand it, the backstory is Abraham Lincoln's dad kind of started title insurance in a weird, strange way. Okay, so how this works was you'd have all these acres of property and you'd have to go off and visit a family member for a big wedding or something. So you'd pack up your horse and buggy and the family and you'd travel for like a month to get to family member's house. And of course, you'd stay for 3 months or so because it took you a month to get there. So 5 months later, when you finally get back, somebody's living in your house. And you'd say, excuse me, this is my house. You need to get out. And they'd say, nope, we bought it from Bob. And say, who's Bob? I own it. So what this started happening so often that Abe Lincoln's dad said, hey, why doesn't everybody just come down and tell me when you're going away, tell me like that's my house. And then you can come and check if somebody who the right owner is before you leave, before you buy something, excuse me. And people started doing that and it started to become kind of a full-time job. So he started getting paid for it. And that is kind of the birth of title insurance.
That is so cool.
That's awesome.
You know this?
I mean, I do own a title company as well, so I know how title insurance works, but I never knew the history of it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. We're probably going to make a video of it and explain the history of title insurance someday.
You know, the reason why I got into this is because explaining to our clients title insurance, it's not the sexiest thing, but it's really, really important. Yep. And I wanted to make sure that they remembered it, basically. So I did some research, heard some stories, and just kind of went with it. And now all my clients understand title insurance.
That's awesome. So you may not know this question, but like Jesse's in an escrow state. I'm in Minnesota, the title state, and you got your attorney state. You know enough to explain the difference between the three and why they call them different?
Yes. So I know a little bit. I am in a escrow state. We do escrow and title here. I have lived in attorney states before. Most of the time, attorney states tend to be back east. And I think that's because they're where they were started. They basically serve the same role as escrow. I do not know about just title states, though.
Yep. So that would make sense now to say attorney state because Abe Lincoln's dad probably still owned the dang thing, right? That's why I call it attorney state. If you're in an attorney state, he's still probably getting a royalty or something.
Seriously. Yeah.
I love it.
We're escrow out here and it works well. It's easy.
Well, the other question we have for you, we've been seeing some commercial out there about someone like, hey, someone just went in and put a second mortgage, a third, fourth on my home. I lost my house, title fraud. Well, wow. Can you explain how that's different than the normal title insurance people buy?
Yeah, so we haven't really been seeing much title fraud out here. So I haven't had a lot of experience with that one. And I'm sure it's coming. I'm not happy about that.
What are you seeing, Long, with the title fraud?
I know you see those commercials that some older lady or older man would say, I lost my home because someone came in and say they own my house and they went and got a second mortgage. So it's just some type of fraud going on out there. So now you can buy insurance for that. But I'm thinking, well, isn't that what title insurance is for? So I don't know, like, why they're selling another product of insurance on top of title insurance.
So it's like an identity fraud insurance.
That's what it is.
Okay. I wonder if it is redundant with some of the title insurance, but they're doing it because it's general identity fraud. Interesting.
It probably is identity fraud, that they're just using your largest asset as the way to sell it to you.
But wouldn't your title insurance cover that if that did happen to you through identity theft?
Yeah. But
I thought so.
With wire fraud, that's not covered with normal insurance.
Right.
So maybe there's some sort of gap there that they're getting in on. I don't know. I'll have to talk to some title people.
And that will be for a future episode of Teach Me Something.
Exactly.
No. Well, this is great.
Next week.
Darcy, I love it because Long has owned a title company since, as long as I've known him, he has owned a title company. And yet you just taught him something about title. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right. I love it.
Well, because of that, right, Jesse, would go without you having to ask me. I do not have to read tonight because I've learned something new today.
I know. I didn't even have to ask you. I knew you learned something. And I think, Darcy, it's very appropriate that you have a guest on your lap while we're doing story hour today.
Yeah.
So,
Andy, he's a very big fan of real estate. So.
Right.
I love it.
Well, I don't know, you know this story about Jesse, but when he was still actively practicing a lot, he did have a dog on his business card, Jesse.
Did you know?
I did once have
dog?
Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.